Okay, we're live.
Okay. All right. So that, you may want to move the chair then. Because
Thank you.
I don't know, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I guess that doesn't matter. Whether I can see the screen or not, doesn't matter.
Right, the camera's up there.
Okay. All right.
We're good.
All right.
Heidi, you.
You know.
This newfangled thing, video conferencing, is that what it's called?
Right.
Yes.
We're live in the internet.
Yes, www. Anyway, meeting's called to order. I'll call the roll call. Mark Geller, Raj Amar,
Here.
Tim Riley.
Here.
Okay, for REAC, we have no action items, no new business, no old business. We are tabling the treasurer's report with everyone's okay to our March meeting, only because we'll have a full quorum. And besides that, our accountant is backed up on doing, I guess, tax preparation. So that's why we're not going to, we'll just push it back. We'll do this month or last month's and this month's in March. With that said, I think
Motion to close?
motion to close. Okay. 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 With that said, I can start the IDA meeting. Again, I will call roll call. Mark Geller.
Present.
Raj Amar.
Here.
Tim Riley. Okay, that's at 11:07. Okay. First item of business is an authorizing resolution for IV2 Rockland Logistics. This is the project over at the former Novartis site, the development they had come to us, we'd induced it last month. There was a significant increase in what they projected the cost of the project to be. We held a public hearing on Wednesday in the town of Ramapo. Oops, sorry, I'll let technology catch up.
Thank you.
There was no public comment, so we really, at this point, unless there's further discussion, I would ask if someone wanted to make a motion to authorize.
They're gonna be putting up warehouses, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
Yes.
Yeah, I can second it. I think they're, are they also just using the, some of the building inside for the scientific, studies?
No,
No,
no, they're
buildings are gone.
They
Completely leveled the whole
Level.
site.
Oh, is that that site that's right off the thruway?
Yeah.
Yeah, flat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They did all the demo work, and now
it's a big building.
they before the Suffolk Planning Board, they're almost done with secret, so.
and it's going to be significant jobs. It's going to be, I mean, there's big
Yeah, they're
investment.
talking, somewhat high-tech warehouses.
Yeah, it's not just big
warehouses,
boxes
per se.
like you think of old-fashioned warehouses. This is really state-of-the-art stuff to serve the e-commerce industry.
Within the highway too, it's right there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we have a motion and a second, so I'll call roll. Mark Geller.
Aye.
Raj Amar.
Yes.
Tim Riley. Yes. Okay. Second, authorizing resolution for JP Morgan Chase Data Center. Same thing. We had the public hearing last week, was it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the beginning of last.
There was
week.
no public comment. This is a data center that's going up over on the Rockland Psychiatric property, immediately adjacent to their existing data center that we also is an IDA project. This one's closer to $1 billion in new investment, which, as an aside, is, from my recollection, is the largest IDA project we've ever done. And they've talked about potentially doing a third. So, and so with that said, if there's no question?
I'll move the motion.
Okay. Okay, Tim and Mark.
Yep.
Okay, I'll call roll call. Mark Geller.
Aye.
Raj Amar.
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay. Our next project, if you want to get the gentleman from Cheyenne.
Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. Okay. Let me introduce the project and I'll ask them to talk. For those who, or may recall, Schreiner has been in Rockland County for a number of years. I'm sure you know the exact date, but we were involved in bringing them originally to Rockland County over in the Bradley Corporate Park at the time. And they are I'll let you tell more about what they do, but a high-end, like kind of an industrial, very high-tech printing operation, but I'll leave that to them. They've leased there for many years, but they're made it clear they were going to be moving. And they have found a property over in Chestnut Ridge, and they're going to acquire that property. So they're going to purchase it, and they're coming to us for sales tax exemption and ability to negotiate a pilot with the local taxing entities. With that said, maybe I'll ask you to introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about the company, what it does. I know the history, but I don't think anybody over here was on the board when Schreiner first came. So you cast a character, so you were.
I think I was.
Perfect. So thank you for the invite, first of all. My name is Matthias Krosch. Based in the accent, I cannot hide it. So I'm not from here directly, but
Connors.
Brooklyn.
and anyway, so most of the time. Pass that around.
Sure.
I did not bring enough, but were you sure? Quick overview of the company.
Yeah, go ahead.
As Steve said, we opened in 2008.
Was that?
I was here months later after the opening, so I came over in October of 2008. And Schreiner Group is a privately owned company. We're the third generation. The company is now over 70 years old. We started as a small company in Germany, and we found our specialty, our niche in the printing industry. So printing industry, you may think it's like newspapers, books, or something like that. But there's also other aspects of printing, and especially in the pharmaceutical and automotive environment. So to give you an idea, I'm not a sales guy, but sometimes if you show what we're doing, it just helps to understand. And we're serving the pharmaceutical industry and the automotive industry for a long time. On the pharmaceutical side, I always say, hopefully you don't have to see our products. So we're not doing any medication or so, but every bottle, every vial, every pouch needs to be identified to make sure that the nurse administering the right drug. Because if you're the patient who's receiving medication, you want to make sure you get the right thing. If somebody messes up and you get the wrong thing, it can be pretty bad. And so we are putting the different labels, what you, for example, can see here on like an infusion bottle. And pharmaceutical is very strict with requirements. So everything has to be right. There shouldn't be any defects, any errors, because it could harm the patient at the end of the day. And that's why we have started in Germany on a smaller scale. We have grown the business in Germany. We have US customers. And when you have a big ocean in between and 6 hours time difference, it's a bit hard to serve the customer. And Schreiner made then the decision to come over to the US, and we opened our facility in 2008 in Raleigh. And we started small. We were like 15 people. If you want to take a peek at it. And we have grown the business, organic growth, where we haven't grown through any merger acquisitions. So we increased our customer base in the US, and we added the automotive division also to local production here, and continue to grow and grow. The downside is, as Steve said, we are leasing a building. We dealt with John McGee as our landlord. Let's make a name in the county. So you understand some of the challenges we maybe had. And we just recently also rented an adjacent space to increase footprint. But when we look into the future, we know there's space in it. And we are now at this crossroad, I would say, where we have to make a decision. When we plan not just for the next 5 years, not on the short gains. We look for the next 20, 25 years. That's really the beauty of a privately owned company in the third generation. It's a long-term growth, financial stability. It's not that the owner just looks to make a quick buck and draw some money out of the company. Over the years, we constantly reinvested into the business. Even so we are renting a space, we kept putting money into the rented space. We had equipment over the years. We had shifts, and we are now today at over 84 people. The trajectory is to grow. The pharmaceutical market worldwide, the United States has the largest pharmaceutical market, and we want to increase, of course, our share. You know, that's when you're in business, you want to make money, but it's also in the mission of the company to add value, and that's, I think, really the sweet deal of the company. We're adding value to people's life, as you've seen here. Sometimes it's life-saving, specialty trucks for cancer treatment, for rare diseases, for flu vaccine. We were part of Operation Warp Speed when COVID hit. So it's not that we were going down. No, our people, we kept them busy and we worked more hours than ever before to help the general public. And that's in a nutshell who we are, what we are doing. There's of course many more details to it. So if you're interested, then more than welcome also to tour the facility to take a look at what we're doing. But it's a high level overview of who we are and what we're doing.
So the one in Blauville, you lease today? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes,
And then the one you're building is that's a buy?
yes.
Good.
According to this, you have roughly 130, 140 employees. Is that the number you have now? Are you going to increase your employment?
Yes, so at the moment, so as a global company, we have over 1,200 employees worldwide. The majority is in Germany. Here on site in the United States, we have 84 right now.
Okay.
But the plan is to add more and continue to grow.
Okay.
The application has about 52 new estimated jobs. Yeah.
Okay.
3740, yeah.
Are you building new in Chestnut Ridge?
Or an existing building,
Existing building?
but it doesn't fit yet. So I was just coming from over there right now, looking at things. We know we have to modify, we have to change electric, HVAC. All of these things need to be modified and adjusted to fit our needs.
I know they had challenges of finding locations. You've looked at several, and I know New Jersey was, one of the areas they were looking at as well. Off that. So this is a potential nice win for the county.
Let me ask you something. Is the FDA involved with your labeling at all?
Indirectly, so we are not FDA controlled.
Okay,
But,
yeah,
but our
all your
customers.
products go on the FDA, something that
Yes.
more or less at the end of the day has to be approved by the FDA.
Yes, so some of our labels are part of the actual drug filing. So for example, we cannot just change like materials or inks or anything like that. That's just dialed in. So you don't change anything without customer approval. But our customers are FDA controlled and our customers are holding us to very similar expectations.
Right. You don't put the labels on the bottles, you just send the labels out.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
We are not dealing with any active ingredients or any chemicals like pharmaceuticals. Medication is not our expertise, but we are good in providing solutions to our customers for pouches, bottles, deep freeze applications, sterilization, all the different requirements.
But the bottling comes from you also, or the bottles?
Bottles is separate.
Separate, so you just send the labels out to them?
Exactly.
Who's your competition?
CCL, for example, Reinders in Europe, there are a couple of companies.
Are you looking to expand the existing buildings in terms of footprint or just internal?
We would love to expand.
Right.
There's like a certain floor area ratio, like how much you can build. Right now, it's just within the existing building, which is 100,000 square feet.
If there's no other questions, I guess I'll ask if someone wanted to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All right, I'll call Mark Geller,
Aye.
Roger Marr,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes, good luck.
Yeah.
So you've been induced, everybody knows it. So with that, we have a public hearing. We'll probably have it over in the village hall over in where you're gonna be. We'll notify you when it is, but you do not have to attend. What our public hearings are, it's an opportunity for the public to provide any comment. It's not a forum where you would have to present. But you're welcome to attend, but you're absolutely not required to or even necessary to be there. And that will then follow probably, I would imagine, next month at our meeting, we'll have what's called an authorizing resolution, which is the final approval after the public hearing. You don't have to attend that either, but we'll communicate on all these things and we'll talk about the process going forward. And I look forward to now. I remember on a lighter note, I remember back in 2008 when they came over, they had a wonderful Oktoberfest. Festival that, or like,
How come that's what he remembers?
I remember that.
All these good things, right?
That's riveted in my mind, but it was you felt like, it was really, and I think they did the tapping of the kegs and all that. So I hope that's a tradition you guys continue.
We will look into that, of course. It's a bigger tech, of course.
Yeah. But anyway, all right, well, thank you. So listen, thank you.
Good luck.
And
Thank you very much.
we'll be in touch, okay.
One more question, if I may.
Sure.
How are you with employment? Are you having trouble filling any, applications?
Yes.
Right.
So
The bulk of your workforce, is it a craft or is it self-trained?
Printing industry is a dying industry, so you do not find any more like trained. We train in-house. We know when we hire somebody today, sometimes we have here up to 1 year of training. And that's one of our commitments. We know we need to do it because we cannot find people which we need.
How long does it take you to train somebody in a particular field?
It's depending on the skill. We have people they hit the road within 4 or 5 weeks, and then other ones we invest up to 1 year. So until, of course, they can always contribute and help, but completely working independently and meeting all the requirements can take some time.
Yeah, it's definitely a dying industry, that's for sure.
That's not for us.
But the industry that you are making the labels for, I don't think that's gonna,
That's
you're on the right side of the business.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good for you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll talk.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
It's interesting because one of the companies we had in Arizona, we had like this massive printing thing, and they used to print.
Yeah.
And it just, little by little, just died. It's like, at one point, we had like 12 people working there. By the time, we had to sell the machine for like pennies on the dollar, I think.
That's a special niche. I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that's, you know,
That's a growth
pharmaceuticals.
opportunity.
But he's got some major companies that, you know, he's got Skoda, he's got Mercedes, he's got,
And their lowest scale people, according to their application, make about 60 grand a year with benefits. So, you know, it's not minimum wage.
Right.
you know.
No, these are jobs that people can make a living at, like, that's their career, kind of thing. And I know people that have been there. I think, didn't you know somebody that worked there, was it?
Yeah, we have a friend that works there, yeah, who's from Germany and came here to work for them.
interesting.
Moving on, I promise you we'd be efficient in our meeting. The low-key Borough labor reports, everything's pretty standard, but I wanted to follow up on something specific. We had talked about this when we were up in Albany.
Yes, we did.
Montebello Gateway, which is a project over in Montebello, was down, what were they, in the
They're in the
70s?
70s
Consistently,
consistently.
where we require 80% to be local labor, they were always in the 70s. We eventually resulted in us having to say to them, okay, we need to, either fix this or we're gonna have to take board action, just because we can't just ignore that. Their commitment was to get up to 80% by the end of
February.
February.
Well, by the end of January. So
End of
when we get
January.
February.
So when we get to
Yes.
February, next meeting, we'll know if they are there or not. They've assured us they will be, but I think that came in the reason I bring it up is I know Tim we were saying, we have our policy, what do we do if somebody's not? Now, we've been fortunate, other than Admiral's Cove, which is a different issue, which we terminated the project. This one was the only other outlier as far as that's concerned. And
Correct.
it seems like, we have our compliance consultant ask them, kind of says you got to get on board. He'll escalate it to me. I fire off a, more strongly worded ultimatum, a little bit of you got to get on board or further action. We haven't reached a point where we would need the board to do anything.
Do you know what is the other 30% that they're not in compliance with?
Well, you mean the reason they were below?
Well, I mean, they need to be at 80, but let's assume what's the other 30% that they're not in compliance?
Well, no, they were at 70, so they were only probably 10 employees over. They were using a Jersey contractor that they've been told you got to hire, not Rockland, but this side of the border, So, and they assured us they would.
Is the 80% threshold over the life of the project?
Yeah, it's an average overall.
Construction.
But so then would they get to a point where they have no opportunity to cure? If you let them go for so long, then they may not ever be able to achieve 80%.
Right.
And if they hit 80% in February, what's the duration of the project, and can they get to 80%?
Yes, I believe, yes. At
The
this
project
point,
is,
At this point, it's still a fixable issue.
yeah.
Right, but I know your point, right? You're
Yeah.
saying like at some point, you just don't have enough left of the project to get up to where you need to be.
We have a project like that we had to deal with where it was at the tail end of it, and, it's a good question.
I know we don't have much.
You don't want to let them know at the tail end, right? You don't want to let them know in their
Right.
trajectory, because then they can go back and say,
Sorry.
we weren't noticed.
Here's the problem I have, and I know we don't have much time. is this project in particular, they can run 2-3 months. And I think we should put together some kind of policy, if not now, later, that they get one warning, a second warning, and then they just get a letter saying, you don't get the benefits. Because what you're pointing to, Mark, is that they can get a bulk of the work done, and then come in and say, hey, look, we're now at 80%. I'm not saying we're dragging our feet, I'm saying that we don't have a policy in place. And I talked to Kevin Lowkey, and he has no problem with that. Whatever we want to do is fine. So, whatever the board feels, my point is, if we have a policy, we have to enforce it. We did it with the Havashore project. We pulled the benefits back. But the point there is it took forever. And I just, I don't want to get in a position where somebody can just string us along, get close, the dog ate my homework. This is the policy. And the policy is so liberal. 80% of your workforce has to come from the Hudson Valley. There's 2 million people in the Hudson Valley. And if I use this because I've dealt with it. If you have an X-ray technician coming in to set up an X-ray machine, he's exempt. Because we know that's a national thing, and you know what I'm talking about. So we're talking to plumbers, carpenters, electricians. There's plenty of people local. If you're getting the benefits from New York State / Rockland County, you should employ the people over here, that's all.
Why don't we do this? So
And I do.
But he's not,
okay.
but he's not that far off, so if he's been in compliance, he's ever been at 80%, or he's always been at 70?
I believe they've been at 70 since I think their first
Yeah.
month was
Right.
August.
So
Yeah.
how we had our policy, now we're finding gaps.
Yeah, no, yeah,
So-
it's evolving.
Not to put words in your mouth, but can I say that the board has directed the executive director to work with the compliance consultant to come up with a clear
Concrete.
enforcement policy
Right.
that will run by you, I'll run by you, before we do it. But I think to your point, I think we say, okay, the first inspection, if they're below, they are notified that they have to be above before the next inspection. If they aren't, then that's kind of like a final warning that says, you know what, now you're subject,
Determination of benefits. And to me, the perfect example is Manhattan Woods. They had a problem.
Manhattan Beer.
Excuse me, Manhattan Beer. Let's see what my mind is.
It was getting warmer.
Yeah. They came back and said, oops, and then they fixed it. Great, that's all. We're watching.
Yeah.
And these people, if I'm not mistaken, it's been 2 or 3 months, at least 2 or 3 months that they've been below the bar. Like, no. And I drive by there almost every day. They're putting up concrete and wall, it's.
You just gotta make sure whatever low-key role does is the frequency of the inspections, so you coincide with when we meet. So if you have to take action,
Bingo.
so if it's a monthly inspection or however it is, you gotta give it enough time so that if they're not in compliance, we have the ability to take action, whether it's by a special meeting or a regular meeting, so that we can take that and do it.
And the other thing we have to be careful of is we don't want to dictate when Low Creek Grill is going out there.
Right.
Because then they can manipulate them,
Right.
they're coming, okay. So if you would put a policy together with Kevin, that's Low Key Grill, and we'll address it next month.
Yeah, because it does lend itself to where it can be manipulated.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's always an excuse.
Yeah,
And,
the other thing, and it doesn't have to be black and white, but I've always found that it's good to have a policy in place, and you don't want to do it during the crisis, because then you get swayed one way or another. So you need a base guideline. This is what our policy is. So you adhere or you don't.
Right. And we do have.
You may run afoul, conceivably, somebody could have a construction plan where they're 70% for the first half and 90% for the second half. So over the life of the construction, they're 80%.
Yeah.
So,
Well-
if you warn them and then final warn them during the 70%. So I would think there'd be give them some opportunity to say, this is how we're gonna cure, or this is our plan.
Right, someone could, you're to your point, someone could manipulate the process a little bit to their advantage, have 0% local for when the real work's being done, and then hire all the locals for kind of which is not the spirit of this policy. So that's another element I think we have to talk about. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll put something together. We'll make sure for the
That's
next
all.
meeting, there's something put together for us to take a look at, but it's,
Thank you.
fortunately, we have not had, Low-Key Grill is pretty good about it. They're all over this, so we haven't had compliance issues except for the one project.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, 99% of the projects don't have a problem.
They were just,
They were just deliberate. I mean, they
Exactly.
didn't really care. They weren't have a stroke.
That's, yeah, they're ignoring it, yeah.
Do they ever react?
It's OG, we'll correct it.
Not do they ever react to their termination?
I don't think,
No, they
who is
didn't.
that? You're talking about
Have a
Haversham?
stroke.
they're gonna react probably next week when we send them, they also spent,
Oh, go ahead.
I probably would,
let's go into executive session.
early motion,
Let's,
I'll make a motion, we go on executive session.
for discussion with council. Discuss the reason,
For instance,
discuss legal matters,
specifically on that project.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
Specific to the first part, I would ask that the board consider a resolution authorizing us to spend $15,000 for 6 scholarships to RCC that will promote workforce development. Any takers?
Motion.
Okay.
I'll second it. Did you move it?
Okay, I'll call roll. Mark Geller, Raj Amar,
Yes.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? And apart from that, given time constraints, we have no old business. We kind of talked about do you want to talk about small business or do you?
No, just briefly, the program went really well. Those who were here early saw the videos that they all made for social media. We're having our final meeting, hopefully next Tuesday. I've gotten good feedback I've met with 3 of the participants, got very good feedback and have a lot of ideas for things I want to change. So
Would you like to do it again?
I would like to do it again,
Great.
but first I'm signed up. I hooked up with Renee Richards, who's with Duchess IDA. They also run a small IDA program, and I'm going to sit in on the next one they run. It's 4 days in March to kind of see if there's anything we want to tweak.
Terrific.
We can learn a lot. Like I said, we're reinvigorating that where the IDAs are kind of
network.
getting together because there's a lot of good sharing of ideas, especially in the Hudson Valley. Okay. And we're gonna
Financials, we're gonna table.
skip that till next month,
Table,
and that's it.
to read the minutes.
Minutes called to order. Authorizing resolution for IV2 Rockland Logistics was approved. All in favor, or all were in favor. Authorizing resolution for JP Morgan Chase Data Center 2. All were in favor. Inducement resolution, representative of Shriner discussed the company's operations and plan to acquire and renovate an existing building over in Chestnut Ridge. Following a variety of questions from the board. Motion was made by Shriner. Raj Amar, seconded by Mark Geller, all in favor. Talked about the low-key bureau labor reports and directed the executive director to come up with a non-compliance procedure for enforcement that will be presented to the board for approval next meeting. Let's see, then we went into executive session. Motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Mark Geller to discuss legal matters. And then we came out of that and we've tabled the treasurer's report until March. That's it.
Motion to close?
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor?
Thank you, everyone. Now, we do have salads. We've got good stuff here. So if you have a minute, I know
Good
Mark,
stuff.
I know you always have to run it all over.